Take one.
Take one.
That's right. Okay, here we go. You're listening to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is the program called
The Wonderful World of Wardini Books.
And as always, it's our pleasure to have in the studio the wonderful Lou from Wardini Books in Havelock North, and you came out in the rain and the snow.
Yeah.
That's how keen you are to come to Radio Kidnappers.
Feels like it's snowing.
3 great books to look at today, and let's start off with Nino Goes Bananas.
Yes, this is the third in a series of picture books for children by Dino Yippity, Mr. Yippity, illustrated by Paul Beavis. And look how vibrant and alive those pictures are.
Awesome.
So Nino is a little fire engine. He's a little tiny one, and he hangs out with all the big fire engines, and he's always wanting to be part of what they do. But they always say, no, mate, you're too little. So in this one, it begins, look how big those fire engines are.
Yes.
And there's little dented Nino, just a little fella. There was a dinky little fire truck waiting for calls, while the bigger, newer engines were playing football. When Nino asked them, can I play too? They said, no, Nino, we're much bigger than you. So it always starts with something where Nino can't join in. And then in this one, Granny's in it always as well, and she phones up and says, there's been a crash at the monkey sanctuary, and off they go, and it's all beautiful rhymes, and it's it comes with a CD with a song on, because Dino Yippity, he plays guitar and sings along and goes around schools and does wild things with the children, whips them up into a excited frenzy, and then they go home to their parents. So in this one, there's the crash at the monkey sanctuary, and off they go, the big shiny fire engines and little dinky Nino.
Nino.
Yeah, and that's the constant refrain is, Nino, Nino, I'm a little fire engine, Nino, Nino, I'm happy I'm me. So there's your little thing for children, doesn't matter. And they get there and a banana truck has crashed through the sanctuary wall, and there are bananas absolutely everywhere. And of course it's a monkey sanctuary, and look what's happening, the monkeys
are going bananas.
Are going bananas, exactly. So, and there is a good anatomy pun in there. The monkeys escaped and the driver felt glum until Nino arrived with a bandage for his bum. So he's fallen on his bum, poor old bloke. And basically what happens is the bananas are everywhere, and the monkeys are everywhere, and it's all absolute chaos. And the big fire engines, of course, they can't really do much about it. And Nino thinks outside the box because he has to, because he's a little dinky fire engine. And he's like, right, shove all the bananas in my tank, and they all squish around, and he's made a banana smoothie and squirted it out of the fire hose, and all the monkeys follow it and squish back into the monkey sanctuary.
Look at that.
And everything is fixed because of this innovative little awesome dinky fire truck. And it is just a great story. I suppose you could read that to a 1-year-old even, or a 2-year-old, or anyone that's capable of sitting and looking at the beautiful pictures.
And those illustrations are magnificent.
They are magnificent.
They are magnificent.
Yes.
They are.
So this is a New Zealand book, purely New Zealand made and illustrated, and it's just fantastic. Why would you go anywhere else?
Exactly. I'd give that book a 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 for Ken. Yeah, that's right.
Excellent, Dino and Paul.
And our next book is called Hamnet.
Hamnet. Oh my God, Ken, this is just stunning.
Is it really?
Absolutely stunning. I like Maggie O'Farrell. She's the author, and she's an Irish writer, and she does sweeping sort of family dramas, and she's one of those writers that breaks all the rules and it works for her. Too many characters, too much stuff going on. But in this one, it's about Shakespeare's family. So we're back in the 1500s, the end of the 1500s, and we are in Stratford and its surrounds, and it's when the young William Shakespeare, who is never named in this book, you just know who he is, because it's not really about him. He meets Anne Hathaway, who is called Agnes. It's spelled Agnes, but it's pronounced Agnes in this. But and he meets her. She's much older, and she's the kind of strange, ethereal woman that lives up at the big farm. And they meet and they fall in love. And in this book, what she's done is she's taken the facts that we know about Shakespeare, about Anne Hathaway, about their children, about the loss of a child that happened to them. Hamnet, he had a son called Hamnet.
Really?
And Hamnet died. And in this book, Hamnet is a twin to Judith, and the plague is the Black Death. The plague is all over the place, and comes and there's a beautiful passage in it where you meet the flea on the monkey, who hops onto the boy, who hops onto the ship, who hops onto you follow the path of the flea to how it gets to the children. and it is just the most incredible thing. And it's mostly really about Agnes and her dealing with Hamlet's family, William Shakespeare's family, when he's then gone off to London and pursued his career as a playwright and an actor and made the money and sent it back home. The family can't join him because little Judith, one of the twins, has always been quite sickly. And so when plague hits, it's really, really dangerous for her. And this then is about the birth of the play right at the very end, Hamlet, from Shakespeare's grief at the death of his child. And it is the most incredible book.
And it looks like about 500 pages. Was it easy to read?
You're good at pages, aren't you? It's 360
360,
something.
must be fat pages.
Really easy to read. I did not want to put it down. I would have stayed up all night if I could to read this one. She is a hell of a storyteller. Yeah.
Wow. So you gave it a 10?
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Doesn't get any better than that.
No.
Enter the Aardvark.
I'm going to do a 2-part book review, so I'll tell you more about this next week.
Yes.
But I just picked this up this morning. I've had a very busy week, and I was sticking with Hamnet to get it finished. So this one is a little novella, and it's about a politician. He's a Republican politician in the US, and he's trying to cling on to his position. So he's running a re-election campaign, and everything's going quite smoothly for him until someone sends him a stuffed aardvark. And it's a satire.
Yes.
And it begins with like the Big Bang. It's the most amazing start to a book. It begins with the Big Bang until you meet the aardvark and how the aardvark evolves, and then how the aardvark is named. So that's like the very first little it doesn't even say prologue, but it is kind of a prologue. And then you go into meeting I can't remember his name, doesn't really matter what his name is. I'll tell you next week. But it is August. Congress is in recess. You are not in recess. You are running a re-election campaign for the 1st Congressional District in Virginia. Your opponent's name is Nancy Beavers, and you've made up your mind that from here on out there will be no more days off. Blah, 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 blah. You're not going to lose. Not to a woman named Nancy. Not a woman named Nancy fluffing beavers. So, it's going to be a hell of a ride. And the Big Bang Theory, honestly, you could read that to children and they would understand where everything came from. And it's just this one massive sentence of this, and this is how the mountains, and then, oh, look, water, and then this, and,
I can't wait to hear the rest of it.
Brilliant.
If you want to get any of these fabulous books that you've talked about today, where do we get them? You
get them at Wardini Books. We are at 16 Tomato Road, Havelock North, and 44 Hastings Street in Napier.
As always, our pleasure. You look after yourself. Well, before we go, tell us about your, you've got a book launch coming up for your husband's book, and it's going to be a bit of a gig. Tell us some more about that.
Yeah, that's in August.
Yes.
So August the 8th, which is a Saturday, and Gareth's new book is Brass Witch and Bot, Rise of the Remarkables, and it's going to be a fantastic book launch, a free one at 4 o'clock with games for the children, for the youngsters.
Aye.
And then later on at 8 o'clock, a big massive party, which you can buy tickets for on our website, www.wardini.co.nz, or pop into the shop and ask for more details.
Good on you, Lou. Pleasure as always. Look after yourself. Talk to you same time, same place next week.
Sweet as.